So I'm making you guys a video. How fun is that? I've got a lot of family that watches this, so I'm sure they'd like to see me and stuff. And besides, I can talk. Talking's fun. If you guys didn't know, I enjoy to talk. Anyway, so in my last blog post, it's been a while since I've done a blog post, hasn't it? A long time. I'm sorry. I'll do better, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, it was about the concert. I talked about going to a trip in the middle of the island with a bunch of the international students. And we went to a place called Lugong, actually. And Lugong is a really cool place. We did this, I don't know, something with lion things. We made, let's see if I can find it. So I found what I was looking for. We made these little things. This is like a little lion, if you can tell. See, rawr, it says. And actually, all we did was sand it. And I don't exactly know what happens. An artist like sculpted it, like sculpted the face and all the details and stuff like that, and then put gold on it, and then we just sanded off the excess, and then we buffed it up with wax. Isn't that fun? And then we tied this on. That's about all we did. It was kind of cool. And then we took a tour of the town. It's a really old town full of really old things. And there was this old temple, and gosh, I'm not supposed to pause. I'm sorry. I'll refrain from doing that. Anyway, there's this old temple of some, like, Buddhist religion or something. I'm not exactly sure the exact religion that it was. But it was kind of weird being there because I didn't know how to behave. I thought I was going to offend someone the whole time I was there. Kind of like if you go to a Catholic church and you don't kneel before you go into, like, the row of pews or something like that. I didn't know if I was going to offend anyone, so it was kind of weird being there. I'd really like to go back to a temple with someone who knows the religion, someone who can explain to me what all is going on, because there was incense burning in several different places, and there were actually people there worshiping, and I was just kind of there watching, so it was kind of interesting. I was afraid I was going to offend someone. So yeah, and we took a tour of, like, the whole town. It's a really old town. And there was, like, a house and a well. I'm not entirely sure, but it was all really old, and the tour was mostly in Chinese, so I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. There was some English, not much. Yeah, so that was fun. Also, while we were at Lugong, there was this local on, like, a little scooter, because everyone rides scooters here. It's kind of cool. I want a scooter when I get back to the United States. I'll probably crash and kill myself, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Anyway, there was a guy on a scooter, and we stopped at a museum-type place or something, and this guy, we were all outside, and this guy pulls up next to the group and just starts yelling stuff in Chinese, and this guy was, like, angry, and I have no clue what he was saying, but it turns out he was saying stuff along the lines of, "Oh, Taiwan is the best country on the planet, yay, woo, go Taiwan, and the rest of the world can go, who knows," like insults and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure. But the group I was with was a group of international students from, like, China, and he was, like, hating on China a lot. And there were people from, like, Hong Kong and Malaysia, and there was a chick from Indonesia. So that was cool. So we were all these international students, and there was a Taiwan nationalist yelling about how the rest of the world sucks. And I was just like, what's he saying? I don't know what he's saying. And I'm the only white guy there, so who knows? Half of that might have been addressed to me. I don't know. But I don't really care. I didn't know what he was saying. I just thought it was funny. All these international students, and we're getting hate, or he's throwing hate to the rest of the world. The political situation here in Taiwan is really iffy, and I don't fully understand it, but apparently the People's Republic of China rules Taiwan, but not really, and the Republic of China rules China, but not really. I'm not entirely sure. It's weird and confusing, and I'm just kind of deciphering it a little bit. Anyway, so that was Lugong. Lugong was on one day, and then Beito was a week later, but it was a week ago. Today's Tuesday, so the weekend, a week from there. We went to Beito, and there are hot springs at Beito. So Beito was actually really, really cool. Rode Beito, took the MRT. The MRT is the coolest thing ever. Have I told you about this? It's, like, amazing and super cheap, especially if you're a student. Everything is great. You just show your student ID, and you get, like, half off of everything. Yeah, so Beito was pretty cool. They've got hot springs. The first thing we did was went to a library, and this library was really cool. It was like kind of like a natural library. There's a garden growing on the roof, and you like go in, and of course there's books and shelves and stuff like that. But like you could go out into this little area, and there's a beautiful garden with a pond and stuff like that. A pond shaped like the island of Taiwan, which is kind of cool. Yeah, and so that was just a really cool place to go to, and I really enjoyed it. I'd love to sit there and read a book, but it's all the way in Beito. And that's kind of confusing to get to, because you have to take a specific MRT. Anyway, that was fun, and then we went to this hot spring museum in some really old building that was built by the Japanese several years ago. I don't know how long ago. But it was really cool, because there was some old stuff, and there was sulfur. The whole town smells like sulfur, as you would expect with hot springs. But it was okay. It wasn't bad. Went to this museum, walked around, had to take your shoes off, actually, and put on little slippers, which is actually something you have to do quite frequently here. Take your shoes off and stuff. But yeah, you just get used to it. After that, we went to... Oh! We went to, like, a natural hot spring. The hot springs we were at wasn't quite natural, but we went to this, like, natural pool hot spring. That was actually really cool. The water was 100 degrees Celsius, or 212 Fahrenheit, which is right at boiling point. So you couldn't swim in that one, or else you would get burnt and die. And apparently back in the day, they would have kids that would take eggs, like chicken eggs, right? And dip it in the water for a few minutes and take it out, and then they'd have a hard-boiled egg, which is really cool. I don't know if you could eat it. The sulfur was everywhere. It smelled funny, and it tastes awful. You don't want to get that stuff in your mouth. But apparently kids would like fall in, and so that wasn't permitted anymore, and there were like gates built up around this fence that we couldn't cross. So we could only see it, but we were like in this giant cloud, so I could barely see any of it. But it was still really cool. We got to see it, and then we left, and then we went to the actual hot spring and like got in the normal temperature hot springs. And there were four pools of hot springs, and then 2 pools of cold water that you could, because you know, you sit in the hot spring, and then if you sit there too long, you can like pass out and stuff. So you sit in the hot spring, and then you go to the cold spring and cool off, and then you go back to the hot spring, and just back and forth. And that cold spring, well, it's not really a cold spring, it's just a pool of cold water. That pool was like really, really, really cold. Even if you hadn't been in the hot springs, it was like a shock. So we started out, each of the hot springs were a different temperature. This one was the hottest. It's like really, really, really hot, and then this one poured into this one, which wasn't as hot, and then this one poured into this one, which wasn't as hot, so on and so forth. And then we got in this one, and it was like a nice warm bath. And so we sat there for a few minutes, and then we're like, oh, okay, let's move on. So we went to the next hottest, and it was actually a really nice temperature. I enjoyed that one a lot. So we sat there, and we're like, okay, let's go to the cold one to cool off, you know? So we went to the cold one and got in, and oh my gosh, it was freezing cold. Just like getting your ankles in, you're like, whoa. And there were just like, it was weird because there were obviously people that frequent this area, like old people and stuff. And they would just like get in, no big deal, floop. And I don't understand how they did it, because I could barely get past my knees. But they just, all at once. So we sat there, and then we went to the next hottest, which was pretty darn warm. Yeah, hot, actually. And yeah, it was nice, actually. Sat there in this nice hot water. And so then we moved on to the next hottest, the hottest spring, and that one was almost unbearably hot. The way the whole... I don't know, you just kind of sit there, and if you don't move, you can fool your body into thinking that it's not too hot, but then, excuse me, but then the instant you move a little bit, it's like really, really hot. And there are old people like sitting in there under, like, the water pours in, like the hot water pours in, kind of like a waterfall thing. There are people like sitting under that waterfall, and I could barely touch that water, it was so hot. So I don't understand how they did it. And there were like people doing yoga in these springs, and it was weird. So we just kind of sit around and stuff like that, and it was really cool. And then after that, we went to this little night market thing. I don't know if it was technically a night market, but it was a market, and it was at night, so I'm calling it a night market. And we had these noodles, and they were delicious, and my noodles had some sort of sesame sauce. It was really, really good, actually, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then we went to this little other stand, and my friends just... the people I was with my roommate, David, right? He's from Korea. And then another friend named Tavian from Hong Kong. And then we were with another local named David as well. So two Davids, and a Tavian. And so it was the native David kind of showing us around everything, and we were just kind of there watching. It was actually lots of fun. Anyway, so they went to the stand and got some food, and at the food they just ordered it and then they grilled it. The people grilled it. The people running the little stand grilled it and gave it back, and they're like, "Here, try it." And so I tried it, and it turned out to be chicken hearts, like heart here, chicken butts, like the rear end, you know. And chicken skin. It was kind of interesting. I mean, the hearts, I ate it and it was alright, I guess, and the butt was chewy. But the skin was just kind of like a ribbon that was on a stick and then grilled. They were all on sticks, actually. So I can say that I've eaten chicken hearts, butts, and skin now. That was weird. And then we went to... where did we go next? Oh, we went to this other stand and had some sort of delicious snack. It wasn't really a snack, it was a dessert. And it was like these sweet things, and then they put hot jello or gelatin of some sort in it. And so you're eating it and it's scorching hot, but then as it cools down, it turns into gelatin. It was kind of really interesting. Yeah, so that was fun. And then we came back and went to bed. Actually, no, we came back and stayed up quite late. And then went to bed and woke up early. So another thing I want to talk about, I want to give a shout out to my aunt who sent me these cards. There's a Halloween card and a Thanksgiving card. So that was great because, you know, they really don't celebrate Thanksgiving anywhere other than the United States. Yeah, so it was kind of like weird. I went to class on Thanksgiving for the first time in my entire life. Do you hear those bells? Those bells, those like chimes, they actually go off every hour, on the hour, and 10 minutes after the hour. They're kind of like the school bell system, which you know when class starts and ends. But the class starts at like 10:10 here and goes until 11, and then the next class starts at 11:10 and goes until noon, so on and so forth, right? So my first few days here, I was so confused because I was always showing up 10 minutes early to my classes, and it was really kind of annoying. So I don't know, I figured it out now. But they go off every hour on the hour and 10 minutes after the hour to let you know when classes start and end, and then they go off at 9:40 in the evening as well. I don't know why, but they do. Anyway, so back to these. They don't really celebrate Thanksgiving anywhere in the United States, or anywhere outside of the United States. So it was weird. I went to class for the very first time in my entire life on Thanksgiving. But yeah, these cards actually made me feel a lot better because I was kind of feeling a little homesick because, you know, Thanksgiving's one of my favorite holidays, and then it's like this little card. How adorable. Yeah, it was fun. So yeah, that was great. Thanks, Aunt Radonna. And then I got a package from my grandmother just yesterday, actually, full of like cookies and all sorts of goodies, like, woo, little Santa Claus, just all sorts of fun things. And it's great because this is kind of getting into the Christmas spirit. And Christmas isn't exactly a major holiday here, but people do celebrate it. And apparently, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to have class on Christmas, I guess, kind of. I don't know. So that'll be another first too, going to class on Christmas Day. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so that was fun, and maybe I'll make another video for you guys. Yeah. So if you guys want to like email me or something like that, ask me some questions, ask me specific things to talk about, questions about Taiwan, I'd love to answer them for you. So yeah, here's my email if you want to see it. tyler.gorshing@gmail.com if you can't read it. Anyway, yeah, you guys have fun. Bye!